Now you tell me, why were The Shining and Doctor Sleep Stephen King's best books and movies?
Here's Johnny.
I know it's a bold statement because some people loved Carrie and other people loved It.
God, I love you.
Me, I am a card-carrying Stephen King stan, and according to my rankings, The Shining reigns supreme. And it isn't just because Jack Nicholson put on a stellar performance, or because Shelly Duvall was just mesmerizing to watch.
Don't you do that to me. You hear? Don't you ever do that to me.
It's really because The Shining and Doctor Sleep help us understand dysfunctional family systems.
Mama, stop it.
Yes, my friends, before there was a therapy couch and countless videos about narcissism and self-help, there was Stephen King books. And I have to admit, reading them gave me a sense of relief, knowing that someone else's childhood was more than mine.
The freak is staring at me again. What is she staring at? Freak.
But you know who else felt a sense of relief? Stephen King. In fact, I think that The Shining gave him the wherewithal to start making changes and kick his drug addiction habit for good. Stephen King in The Shining laid his heart on the line, creating characters and storylines that didn't just pull you into his world of make-believe, but helped you to transcend your broken soul into a whole one.
Do you believe in something bigger than you?
Stephen King's themes throughout all of his books is about overcoming darkness, finding strength, and the courage to shine.
I won't.
No, you won't, huh?
I won't shine, no more. It's dangerous.
And no one does this better than King himself. So if you love The Shining, this video is for you. King is one of the best writers of the 20th and 21st century. And it's not just because he's a master storyteller, it's because he understands the human mind. In my other videos, I talked about horror, and when done right, it can be used as a form of therapy. Many of us can live vicariously through the characters. Watching them creates a connection, a shared experience, so to speak, where we can subconsciously address our own issues and heal from our own traumatic wounds.
The message is loud and clear. I'm the problem. Got it.
Now I can hear the trolls now. What is this woman talking about? I've had some family issues, but my dad never tried to chop me up into tiny little pieces.
Danny boy!
Yes, that's probably true, but I can bet you dollars to donuts that you were afraid of your abuser. Just like Danny Torrance was afraid in The Shining. That bathroom scene was powerful because it triggered an emotional response from a childhood where you weren't just innocent but helpless. Worse, you were completely dependent on your parent to protect you. And then harming you in any kind of way not only dimmed your shine, but for life. King wrote The Shining because he was ghastly afraid of how his drug addiction was hurting him and his family. And much like Jack Torrance, he had good intentions. Torrance wanted to be the innkeeper at the Overlook Hotel to, one, abstain from alcohol, work on his book, and spend time with his family. He also wanted to garnish enough rent-free money to get back on his feet. King wrote books because he wanted to give his children a life that he never had. But much like Jack Torrance, his addiction got the best of him, causing him to spiral down a road of dependency. Over time, both King and Torrance felt trapped by the inner workings of their mind. King wanted to write clean, but the temptation to get high was too strong.
You're distracting me, and it will then take me time to get back to where I was.
Just like Jack Torrance didn't want to hurt his family, yet the ghosts at the Overlook Hotel were trying to convince him otherwise.
If they'd even sniffed you, you'd be long dead. They eat screams and drink pain.
Once Jack submitted, he was hell-bent on staying there forever and ever and ever.
I wish we could stay here forever, ever.
Just like King wanted to stay in his drug-induced state, lost in his inner worlds, forever and ever and ever.
How do you like it?
And he was willing to do this for success, even if it cost him his own sanity.
I know that head of yours is like a radio sometimes. And you pick up some weird stations.
He was constantly hyped up by the publishing world and the entertainment industry. They wanted him to pump out book after book after book after book, and Stephen King simply couldn't handle that type of pressure without riding the white horse.
Hello, Danny. Come and play with us.
In short, King's fame and success were causing him to lose his mind and his purpose. He once wrote to provide for his family, but found himself abandoning them as he drifted further and further into substance abuse and codependency.
I must be losing my mind.
In The Shining, the ghost at the Overlook Hotel pushed Jack Torrance past his limits. He unlives Dick Halloran, the friendly elderly chef, and chases Danny into the maze where he ultimately freezes to death. In short, Jack Torrance succumbs to evil and loses his sanity in the process. However, King's flaws don't just bleed into Jack Torrance's character, but also into Danny's. In fact, I think that King is a lot like most of his iconic characters.
My grandmother and I could hold conversations entirely without ever opening our mouths. She called it shining.
Let's be real here. King himself has the shine.
Speaking of special, you're a little magic too, aren't you?
It is a special gift that allows him to connect with people on a much deeper level. That's what makes the story so good. Like many of his characters, the shine is not only a gift, but also a curse. Carrie, the telekinetic queen, could have changed the world with her supernatural abilities.
Witch. I'm not a witch, Mama.
Instead, she unleashes her fury and destroys herself and the whole damn town in the process. Publishers knew that King was gifted, and they wanted to get as much juice out of him as possible. In fact, I think the True Knot ragtag group of parasitic misfits represents all the vultures in the entertainment industry that want to milk artists dry.
We are the chosen ones. We are the fortunate ones. What is tied cannot be untied.
The pressure to sell and stay relevant is intense, causing a great deal of fear, angst, and pain. And we all know that the entertainment industry will run an artist into the ground for the sake of profit. In the real world, very few people are creative, less than 30% in fact. Even fewer people can create art on Stephen King's level.
The Overlook, it was always just pictures to me. But I didn't shine like you. Nobody shines like you.
This is why the True Knot was looking for people who had the steam. They didn't want adults, mostly because their energy was tainted. They wanted children. Not just because their steam was fresh, but also because they could be easily influenced and manipulated. Yes, I think that King knows the entertainment industry a little too well. King's earlier works were so good because the stories were driven by his dark desires. Anyone who has read the ending of It and The Library Police could clearly understand that the man had some serious issues. However, when you do a deep dive into his books like Doctor Sleep, you see King seeking closure and redemption. By examining Danny, we can discern King's coping mechanism.
What happens to them in those boxes? Do they die in there?
Do you care?
Lock everything up in a box and simply forget about it. Danny Torrance was able to move on and have somewhat of a normal life by just burying those painful memories deep inside of him. Most importantly, he found purpose as Dr. Sleep, guiding people from the realm of the living into the world of the dead.
You're a strange type of doctor.
I told you I'm not a doctor.
Oh, I think you are.
Jack Torrance had a quiet, peaceful life, an admirable achievement for someone who had battled darkness and won.
So thank you for us both, I guess. This is for Jack Torrance.
Danny had community, stability, and most importantly, he had peace. And him working on the train system each day helped him to heal his broken childhood.
It's called a teeny town. The kids built this?
But King just isn't Jack and Danny, he's also Albra. She is the most powerful shiner in this universe, and the True Knot gang was out to get her.
I haven't felt power like that. Raw power like that. In
At first, Uncle Dan wants to run and hide, avoid the problem, stuff it on the box, much like many of the ghosts that tried to haunt him from the Overlook Hotel.
So I'm running away from myself, I guess.
Over time, Dan grew to understand that the True Knot gang was never going to stop. They were hungry and desperate to steal Abra's shine. So Uncle Dan had to aid and guide Abra, in much the same way that Dick Halloran guided him.
It seems to me you grew up fine, son. But you still owe a debt. Pay it.
It wasn't just a debt that needed to be repaid. It was him confronting the monsters of his childhood. By Dan going back to the Overlook Hotel and seeing his father, Lloyd, once again, he realized that the ghosts at the Overlook Hotel were wearing masks and creating illusions. They played games, working hard to get into his head, to take his steam, to steal his shine.
You gonna take your medicine? I'm not.
But by this time, Dan had seen what Abra could do. He knew that she was far more powerful than a whole bunch of washed-up ghosts. She had completely annihilated the True Knot gang, leaving Rose the Hat desperate for revenge. So Uncle Dan devises the ultimate plan to trap Rose the Hat in the hotel. He frees all his ghosts from his lockbox and watches as they feast on a parasite that stole children's innocence and shine. After this, Dan was not only dead, but free. And the cycle continued. Much like Dick, Dan is Abra's mentor and guide. Only he doesn't encourage Abra to lock the ghost away. He wants her to be proud of her shine. This scene, my friends, is very deep. Why? Because King was able to take his power back.
Shine on, Abra Stone.
He realized that the drugs, much like the ghosts at the Overlook Hotel, weren't just haunting him. They were creating illusions of fear and doubt and pain.
Hello, Danny. Come and play with us.
These thoughts, very much like the True Knot gang, wanted to absorb his steam and steal his shine.
You don't shine quite the same. Growing up spoils that, I guess.
However, much like Abra, King realized that he is the most powerful shiner in the universe. His stories have stood the test of time, spanning over decades, going from books to movies to television shows. Now, it's safe to say that Stephen King is clean and shining bright, and is encouraging others to do the same. Now, you sound off in the comments below. What do you think about Stephen King writing about himself in The Shining and Doctor Sleep?